Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and in today's video I'm gonna expose El Parnaso. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best Yami masterclass with the information that I used to win the national championship and almost go to Worlds, making top 8 at the Continental Championship. It already has over 5 hours of content that will become eventually 6, that will become eventually 7, and even 8 after all is done. Just for $20, so give it a shot. Now, let's begin. Some of you may be wondering why I am not using my camera. Well, that is out of shame of how I was wasted in this match. And that is the actual exposure, right? I think there's a big lesson to learn here, which is don't play Yu-Gi-Oh under non-sober conditions, because a little bit of context here, I was just coming back from seeing my girlfriend and her family. So I just, let's just say that I drink a little bit too many, So I was just trying to chill playing TV, and some horrible mistakes were made. So, and I think that this is a perfect occasion and a perfect example of how to keep playing after making big misplays. If you are already in a situation when you're playing like an actual duel, I'm not meaning necessarily a dwelling book duel, like that's who cares, right? I am talking about scenarios whenever you are playing a regional and you made a big mistake, like you add the wrong thing, you forget to trigger an effect, something like that, right? Or you do your combo in a shitty way. Like that's just part of life, and is eventually going to happen to everyone. So it's better to have a correct mentality for whenever that happens, to see if you can achieve still something, right? So here is exactly what's going to happen. So I am just going for the usual here. Like if you bought here the masterclass, you know and understand like the value of actually drawing engraver and track, even if we just play one target for the engraver. So that, as you saw, you can see how I was like distracted already, and a big evidence of that is that I click on the sequence thinking that I was going with the camellia. So this is just an evidence. This is something to be very, very big, to have a lot of carefulness whenever you're playing a tournament, because here in the context of non of rank DB, it is understandable for your opponent to tell him, hey, I was just misclicking, because I was right. However, in a big tournament, even if you were meaning to put the other card, like for in this case the camellia instead of the sequence, because of the strictness of the tournament that you're playing, I don't think they're going to allow you to change that decision. So a big lesson here to respect how the procedure works and always double check your cards, because the second that you're not doing that, this may happen to you. And in those scenarios of regionals, YCSs, national championships, continental championships, it's very likely that you're gonna suffer consequences. So, regardless of that, here I am just doing all that you already see in the masterclass, like the explanation behind it, the value, blah blah blah. Is there? Oh, by the way, look. Obviously, if you're playing 60 cards, you're gonna draw a board breaker and 3 different starters, right? That's what always happens. So here the usual shit. And now we make the sequence. You can make the argument of considering the SP Little Knight instead of the Desire, but my opponent not throwing any kind of hand traps just made me think that most likely he was playing more a board breaker approach because of 60 and not using any hand trap, than like the possibility that he just didn't draw any of them, right? So that is why I decided to value more the Desire, because I got punished just by the Super Poly, and in 60 for a board breaker approach, I'd rather try to see if I can deal with other kind of pushes. So here he's going for the wanted. I am just trying to get my engine going. Here, another mistake, I decided to go straight up for this Nachi here instead of going for the synchro and take my time with my effects. I was just rushing because, again, and here, another big thing here, something, something very funny. I'm not gonna show you the log and everything, but I took the time to realize why I drew the engraver, and it's because when I did the sequence, because it's very unlucky to draw the engraver, right? But the thing is that when I did the sequence, I put, even though I put the lacrima also to the deck, the lacrima I put it to the bottom, and the engraver I put it to the top, and I didn't shuffle the deck. The problem is that I just realized this way after the duel. So you're gonna get punished by these kind of things if you're not paying attention. And again, play Yu-Gi-Oh sober whenever you are approaching big tournaments, right? Like, of course, in DB, who cares, right? In this, whenever the specific situation happens, because because here you can have fun, like making misplays and whatever, right? But but in a big tournament, like, just pay attention, prepare yourself, sleep your hours before, you know, all of those little things are going to help you. And here, for example, you're not going to make these kind of stupid mistakes, right? Because here, I was just so wasted that actually wasted that I forgot that Dark Magician of Destruction can still use the Dia Blasters as a set monster. So I just waste my cookie yummy way here. Okay, where were we? Okay, yeah, sure. Me making this stupid mistake because you shouldn't play any kind of high stakes Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or duel uh, unless you are sober and sleeping all your whole hours. However, everybody is going to make actual mistakes in duels, and whenever you are already in that regional YCS whatsoever, you need to get over it and try to still do the best as you can because you still have not lost yet, right? And if you are already there, like you took the time to go to the actual tournament, like you're not to give up, right? Like just take the misplay and keep going. So here I'm wasting all my cards just to go for the mind shuffle, and now the Dark Magician of Destruction is going to push my impermanence. Now he's going for the deception. Here I'm making my Yammy's effects late because even though if he is not going for the Sylvia directly, it would have been nice at any of these points to use the Capsi Yummy wave to either get the cookie or the lollipop. Most likely the lollipop, but there I'm just losing an interruption, right? Because I will still have the surprise with for the lollipop Yummy wave, so I can still have my Yummy circulation because the Yummy Capsi wave they wouldn't have been able to come back anymore, right? But misplay after misplay, but we still trying here. Regardless of that, you can see how you can really get punished by these kind of mistakes because now he has the Sylvia, he has monsters to make the SP Little Knight, and all of that could have been avoided if I just play my cards better, the better, right? And now Habakiri is just going to get rid of all my monsters because now he's just going for the Murakumo, right? So the Murakumo is going to do its thing. I'm gonna at least try to push the Sylvia because now I was just thinking that if he make any kind of mistakes, I can try to do something about this Murakumo with the Lollipop that I can special summon with the Akruki because it's my opponent's turn. The Desire can force the Murakumo to try to go to the graveyard here by before the Akruki resolves because here I can make like effect of Desire and effect of Akruki, so I can send the Murakumo and on resolution have my new trigger of Lollipop Yami to send it back to the deck. The problem here is that he is going and in that case he is still and in that case like I in that case I can try to get rid of it. The problem is that he already has the Mitsurugi trap in the graveyard, so whenever I'm gonna try to put it back, I'm just gonna he's just gonna have to change the trap card, right? But maybe he can make the misplay. But that was my logic here, trying to make something. The problem is that I couldn't avoid for him to have the Mitsurugi prayer before this, because of all the misplays that I was doing before, right? So, it is what it is here, just trying to do my shit. But here, what I think is very important to see is how much your opponent can actually do whenever you make so many misplays. Because here's what he's going to try to do. Because here he technically don't have nothing, right? This is the problem right here. Here, because before, like I was just thinking, even after all these misplays, I have Engraver to keep playing. The Caesar can negate the prayers, and in resolution I can negate the Murakumo to try to come back, right? I was just feeling nice. I feel like he actually can't do anything about it. And so and after all of that, I can even try to use the tactics if he used a monster effect that I didn't negate. The problem is gonna be this monster now, because, well, look by yourself. Like, this is going to get crazy, real crazy. Look at all the crazy shit that's gonna happen. First, Black Chaos not being once per turn, like crazy, right? Mind Shuffle is here back. Here, getting back the Forbidden Crown to negate my Caesar. Me losing the Akruki forever. The Skull now getting rid of my Mignon, so I can get back my Snatchy. He being an available monster now because he can do this shit right here. He's going for the Celine to get the Ritual Circulation back. Then he's going to use the Charmer to revive the SP and the Sylvia. That was crazy, right? So, see how you can get punished by all these kind of shits. But also remember that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the best 2 out of 3. So let's see what we can do now. So here I'm just going for the usual. If you bought the masterclass, you know about this kind of shit. So I am just going. So, and here I'm gonna make a big mistake. If you bought the masterclass, you know what the mistake here is. At some point, I should have used my yummy buddies here too, because again, Nibiru is not in the format, blah blah blah. And because of that, I make the Desire for nothing, because here all my engraver is going to be is just the Caesar, with a Desire in the graveyard for no reason whatsoever. So again, don't play wasted Yu-Gi-Oh when it's an important tournament, because those are the consequences. But again, if you make misplays, the only thing that can happen after is just to keep playing. So here I decided to get greedy again, because to put both sinkers on the field, I could have get really really big punish here, but let's see what happens here. So here I just want to get all my bricks from the deck, so whenever I make cap C, I can draw one. Like, I can draw less bricks. Here, this was very important. I could have get even more greedy and use the Caesar to negate the and use the Caesar for the Havakiri, and thinking, oh, I'm gonna let this resolve and wait for my Ash. I decided not to do so, because I already saw that he was playing Crown. If he was playing Crown, most likely he was playing Droplet. If he didn't use any hand trap, he most likely can't have any of those, because we are not talking about 3 cards anymore. We are talking about 6, right? So I didn't get greedy, luckily for me, and I ashed the Preparation of Rites. So here he's gonna Lava Golem my monsters, and here I'm gonna make I'm gonna return my Capsi, and then I'm gonna change my Snatchy, so my Capsi can actually revive 2 monsters, and I can keep my circulation without any issues, because now I can not use the effect to set. I actually instead destroy the Dival Star. I destroy the other one with the Crookie. Here I didn't risk the draw. I decided to not risk the draw, and because the Copsy gave me a hand trap, I decided to use that hand trap to avoid any kind of draw that he would have, because the other cards may have been bricks, but for example, if any of those were a Mitsurugi brick and he drew, for example, prayers, that prayers is not 1 push, it's 2 pushes. So I just didn't want to get punished by it, because if he risked the Diablestar and the other shit, the other cards too, it was most likely because he didn't have like any other useful card to actually play. so it was kind of readable that he had bricks in his hand. So here he's gonna go first. Again, he's going for the Black Chaos. He's going normal Sagi. I decided to again not get greedy because a lot of people can say that normal Sagi usually is breaking and the shits, but is enough for him to have any other kind of Mitsurugi name for that search to become two hand traps in my hand that I need to use. Because if he adds the prayers and he has any Mitsurugi name, like any Mitsurugi ritual name, I will need to negate both of them, one with the Ash and the other one most likely with the Purge to not, and then I was put in a situation specifically with this hand to for my horn drones to not be by itself a way to push because Kagari is a fire and I wouldn't be able to use Kagari's effect. So as much as I can, I wanted to hold the purge. Because of these arguments combined, I decided to ash the Sagi. Here I just use the ogre for the mind shuffle. A very good exchange. Black Chaos against Ghost Ogre. Very nice that is 2026 and there's still this combination that you would like to draw in 2018 because of the amount of hand traps actually available is still making your opponent pass turn. What a beautiful game is Yu-Gi-Oh! And now Feather Duster is exchanging with the crown. Yeah, the crown is still be activated because like the Saiji can stay there as a body to avoid not get killed. The problem is that it's in attack position, right? So I can still just OTK just by attacking the card. I'm trying to find what the other card here is because I almost sure that if it's a break, it's a Mitsurugi ritual. In this case, it was like Aramasa, but in this specific case, was a was a Mitsurugi break nonetheless. So I was just trying to see if this other card were an Ash or maybe an Impulse. At this point, I'm sure it was any of those, so most likely it was another brick. And because Nibiru don't exist in the format, I just summoned my Yamis to win the game. Here was enough, even though the monster is still here for each and every single attack. So, just a big example how you can still win a match regardless of making big mistakes over and over because a duel is not done until it's actually done. So whenever you are making misplays in a big tournament, just try to not keep thinking about that and just keep focusing on of the best that you can do in the new situation that you're in. So if you enjoy it, give a like, subscribe, share the channel with your people, buy the masterclass.